The member for Corangamite.
Mr Deputy Speaker, thank you very much. I rise to speak about the major issues with internet connections in my electorate of Corangamite. Deputy Speaker, as we know, the NBN was meant to solve much of our communications issues, and particularly in rural and regional areas of Australia. But it has been no less than an unmitigated disaster under Labor. After 3 years, and the Labor's NBN was 2 years behind schedule. The cost, as we now know, was going to rocket to $79 billion, $29 billion more than Labor promised. So far, very disappointingly, that the NBN has reached just 3% of Australian premises after 4 years and $6.4 billion of funding. As Minister Turnbull famously described the NBN under Labor, it was an arthritic snail. What was even more disappointing, there was no basic cost-benefit analysis. There was not even an understanding about the availability of broadband. Where were the good areas across Australia and where were the deficient areas? And I know, as a member representing an important rural and regional part of Australia, this is an incredibly important issue. Coupled with that, Deputy Speaker, in 2012, when Labor's rollout was announced, it excluded most of Corangamite, including the southern suburbs of Geelong, Grovedale, Warn Ponds, Marshall, Highton and Belmont, and important centres like Colac. When that rollout plan was updated in May 2013, these critical areas were still left off the list. In Labor's case, the rollout was completely political. The only map that Labor looked at was the electoral map. And in the case of Corangamite, there is very strong evidence that the fact that most of Corangamite was left off this list was pure politics. The former member, Mr Darren Cheeseman, had attacked the former Prime Minister Gillard on her leadership, and the very strong evidence is that this was a political payback, and of course the people who suffered, Mr Deputy Speaker, were the people of my electorate. I am very, very proud that we last week launched the My Broadband website, and also a full broadband availability and quality report. So for the first time, Australians have access to a map which shows how good or bad broadband is in this area. And it is actually quite incredible that Labor didn't do this basic work. And as we can see from an article in the Geelong Advertiser in December of last year, second-rate internet. And that is the situation in my electorate, and that's why I'm fighting very hard for the NBN to come to my electorate. An article written by Greg Dundas. And really the Geelong maps here, and as you can download these maps, this is the ADSL quality in Geelong, they tell the story. And in places like Highton and Marshall in particular, broadband is abysmal. So what we are doing is we're getting on with the job of delivering the NBN in a methodical and systematic way. The next step that we're going to do is introduce a speed test. So what local people in my electorate will be able to do is go onto the My Broadband electorate, check the internet speed, and that data will be sent straight to the Department of Communications. And that will be able to track the speeds of everyone in my electorate of Corangamite, and that is a wonderful initiative which will be available in about a month or so. So today I'm certainly calling on everyone in Corangamite who has poor or slow broadband to do this speed test, so we have the data and we can assess what we need to do in areas, because one of the most critical parts of our NBN, something that we are very proud of, is that we have made it clear is that where there is poor or deficient broadband, we will prioritise those areas first. Now, unfortunately, that was not something that Labor ever thought was important. So what we are doing is we're calling out to all Australians and saying, where are the poor areas? Where are you suffering? Because, frankly, you need attention more than anyone else, and that's what we're going to do. And our government, under Minister Turnbull, will be directing the NBN Co to prioritise those areas. And as I can see here in Geelong and in other parts of my electorate, in Inverleigh and Bannockburn, in Torquay, we've got many deficient areas. So very, very proud Deputy Speaker, of the wonderful work we're doing to progress the NBN.